And here is the V700M from Panasonic. It even has 3D capabilities. It has 46x intelligent zoom, which really it only has 21 optical zoom, but 46x digital zoom that is made to look better electronically than just regular digital zoom. And here's the box. It lists some of the features here. Hybrid stabilization, and it's wide angle, 28 millimeters wide, which I really don't care for surveillance, because most of my film requires more on the telephoto end, so this actually subtracts from the telephoto end. Alright, here's what's in the box. Besides the camcorder, some cables which you're not going to use. For the charger, part of it. Here's the other part of the charger. And this charges the battery right here while it's in here. You can get separate chargers for these to separate them from the camera, but it doesn't come with it. USB cables. And this is a cold shoe for your accessories, and that fits into the back of the camera for microphones or for lights, etc. And has the instructions, but who reads those? So that's it. This is the box. Got from B&H. And the reason I got this camera is primarily I heard some good reviews about for its night low light recording, and also it has, unlike a lot of other cameras in this price range, a microphone plug-in that you can not plug a microphone in there, but just the plug for a microphone, and cut out the microphone from here totally. So you end up with an empty sound, which is what you want for surveillance. So it comes with a battery here, but you can get a much larger battery that just keeps you going and going. It underneath it has threads for your tripod, and it's close to the front, which I like, so it pivots closer to the lens, which is nice if you're shooting through a small opening. Now, the camera I currently use is a Panasonic TM60, and it's a very good camera, and I haven't wanted to really go up to some models between this camera and the camera I'm shooting on, because I didn't feel it was much of a jump. But I have some other purposes for this camera here, such as shooting my videos, for training videos, and I went through going through the menus. I do notice there are some differences. So let's start with the menu. This camera here, I actually prefer the menu system on this camera. It totally disappears. I have it set to display all this, but you can have it so that it comes on for 5 seconds and then go off. So let's go through. Now you can set here your top 3, it goes off right away, your top 3 icons of features that you use the most. So it's very, very quick to use. At the top I have the pre-record. That means that the camera's recording for 3 seconds constantly before I even hit the record button. So if somebody's walking between a bay door in the back of a truck carrying stuff infrequently, then you don't have to roll the camera constantly for hours and hours just to get that occasional time that they go in that opening carrying that box. You can have it set so that when you see them, you hit record. It's record for the previous 3 seconds, and then it just adds on what you're recording now since you hit the record button. It is an extremely essential feature. Both of these two cameras have it. The camera I'm recording on, TM60 from Panasonic, and the 700M. So I wouldn't get a camera anymore without that. Here's, of course, your backlight. Sorry. This is the backlight feature, so you can hit it. And of course you need that when you're filming somebody who's, say, against a bright window, or reverse, actually filming somebody in a dark garage and the outside of the garage is very light, and you want to illuminate the inside of that garage door. And the other feature here is the color low light. I've tested that out already. It works just the same as Panasonic that I have, and it's essential once in a while. You can't zoom way out with it because you get too much motion blur, and we'll see that feature in action in a little bit. So let's get into some other features here. This here, the hand, in fact, this mode here with the hand on here is exactly where you want it set for every time you turn the camera on. So whatever you have here before the camera turns off comes back on the same way, which is perfect, because what this is an additional stabilizer. Here's the little stabilizer icon right there with the hand. And what this does is an additional feature. It's a lockdown stabilizer. It almost locks down your shot so that it hardly budges. And the camera I'm shooting with, the Panasonic TM60, does not have that. And it's a wonderful feature. I've seen it on other models, on Canons and stuff, but I really like how it works on the Panasonic. So let's go through more here. This I never have on. It only moves the screen over smaller, and it's redundant because there's buttons on the camera that do all this stuff. Alright, I guess we have to go backwards. So this is where I leave it. And let's dig through the menu system a little bit. So go back until it hits. Oh, by the way, if you want manual control over all this, it's very, very nice. And while we're here, let's just take a look at the focus. I like the focus on this new camera, the 700, better than I like the manual focus on the Panasonic TM60. So I'll go to manual focus, and it's just better here than it is those tiny little buttons on the side, the way it is with this camera that I'm recording on, the TM60. So it's very, very easy, and it puts everywhere where there's where it's in focus. See that blue line? It puts a blue edge around whatever is in focus, so it lets you know when different things come into focus and when different things go out of focus. It's a wonderful feature. It's backup for what your eyes might not get. So hit the focus again. Whoops. Again, autofocus, which is where I like it most of the time. This camera also has face detect, which is nice with the autofocus. Much of the things are the same in this menu. White balance. Now let me tell you about white balance. With the Panasonics here, I much prefer Canon's and Sony's white balance. Sometimes, if you've noticed, I've gone from very yellowy here to more bluish. Right now it's very yellowy, and it took a long time to correct it, if you saw there. So, and sometimes it seems to get stuck, and that's with both cameras that I've noticed. So, not that surveillance footage has to look that pretty, but the shutter speed for manual, you can slow it right down to the level you want. and same with the iris, as opposed to going way down into the low light feature and having all that blur. So if you have time, you can set those. Let's go into menu. Now you have 4 menu features here. You have the record setup, picture for your photos, media select. It has built-in 16 gigs of memory, but of course I always record on the card, and you can set this differently for photos versus video. You have video on the card, the SD card, and photos on the internal memory, vice versa, whatever, and general setup things there. So let's go into the record setup. The scene mode, very much the same on both cameras. Right now it's on off. Now let me tell you, I am not sure what scene mode I'm going to start using when I use this new camera here, because the reason I always switch to manual mode so that I could use some of these scene things in manual mode as opposed to the auto mode, and you set that right here, IA, intelligent auto versus manual, is because on the TM60 you didn't have a plug-in to take the sound out, so you had to manually turn the sound all the way down and turn the automatic gain control off as well. So I'm going to be doing some tests here probably over the next few months, and I'll know. But let's just go into this anyways. What I've always been using on the TM60 is, my preference here is the candlelight one, and what that does is it puts the camera into a mode where if it senses low light, it gives you a little bit of a boost in your iris, and it's not a huge boost, but it's enough to make it worth the while for some dark areas, shaded areas, or even at night when you don't want to go way down to that low light feature. It's actually quite good, and it works pretty much, has the same effect on both cameras. I wish there was more levels of it, but and here's the other mode that I don't use frequently. It's this mountain mode, and let me just show you what it does. If you press this information button and then you go back and you press that, it tells you for taking pictures of distant and vast landscape. Auto focus prioritizes, priority is set to infinity. So in other words, if you're filming someone on the other side of a fence, the fence is close to you, it won't focus on the fence, it'll focus on the person. If same with trees, bushes, it will not focus on anything close to you. If you have rain on your windows, and I have a video up on the website showing how it does, your autofocus does not lock onto the rain on your windows. So whenever it's raining, or whenever I'm having to prioritize infinity, which is your distant focus, that's the mode I have it on. I do not have it on this mode most of the time because I find that it is slower at focusing. It's not a quick focus, so someone very slowly comes into focus, and I don't like that. I like real fast focus. So let's get out of here, return. So it's either this mountain mode or this mode, and that's what I've been using. Although on this camera I may be inclined to go full auto. I'm not sure yet, because I will be putting a microphone pin into here, shaving it off, because obviously this closes and you don't want it hitting this, so the pin will just have a little flange at the most around there to so that this can close without it hitting that. So, but that's the scene mode. So exit out of scene mode, back into menu, record setup. All right, right now I have it set for digital zoom of 60, and I'll show you why I do that when we step outside to show some distant stuff. 48, you get intelligent zoom to 48. 60, obviously from 48 to 60 is just regular zoom, doesn't sharpen up. And forget about this, the 1500x, you'll never use it. Now normally, you know, you prefer to use just optical zoom, but with surveillance footage, sometimes you just have to zoom in, get that facial identification, whatever. Plus the fact, I notice that this camera here, the 700, probably has the best looking digital zoom that I've ever seen in a camera for surveillance, that I use for surveillance. All right, record mode. All right, here are the options of record mode. On the left, you have your regular interlaced, and you have lots of options. Here's the option I choose, HX1920. The reason is, all my investigators, number one, they have to upload this stuff, and this will give you, on a 4 gig SD card, give you like 1 hour 2 minutes. You go up here and I don't know, whatever it is, 20 minutes, but it shortens it severely, and the optical difference between these two is not that great of a difference. Going down here in the HE mode, yes, I do notice a difference, especially when the camera's moving. You get some artifacts and stuff. Now this mode here is 60p. That's going to give you your clear stuff if you're shooting action stuff, but it's going to gobble up the juice, the memory. iframe is more for people concerned about editing and stuff. I wouldn't bother using it for surveillance. I won't get into that. But okay, so let's go back. All right, so we looked at record mode, pre-record. I have it. I don't use this for pre-record because remember those buttons? I chose it as a quick button, quick custom button. So back to menu. Let's go down here. Face recognition, I have, obviously it's off here, but I want it on. And I'm not sure if in this mode it will. Please set face. Okay, that's, if your subject, if you want it to lock onto your subject's face, you can set up to 3 different people, 3 different subjects. And if they walk through a crowd, if they're mostly facing you, somewhat to the facing side, quarter side, it'll lock onto their face, and that's where you get your focus and exposure. So that's how you can use it for surveillance. Let's go down. Hybrid, oh yes, it's on. And I will tell you, even before I show you the test, this has what's called a 5-axis stabilizer. The camera I'm filming with has a 4-axis stabilizer, and there is a difference. There's a huge difference. So, well, I wouldn't say huge difference. The 4-axis stabilizer I find is better than Canon's or Panasonic's. Canon's or Sony stabilizer. But this 5-axis one is a good step. We'll call it step better. So you don't worry about fade, forget color, forget the guidelines. I have my auto slow shutter on, and so that when it detects it's in low light situations, it turns on. This here, where am I? AGS, if you turn your camera, some investigators may want to use that because I've seen a lot of film that investigators have left their camera on sitting on the seat. So if the camera goes upside down or if it goes on its side for whatever period of time, it'll automatically stop recording. And some investigators need that. Backlight compensation is off. We don't need that on because we have it on the quick menu. Intelligent contrast, I don't know why it's off. Oh, cannot set while in scene mode. Okay, whatever. Alright. Color night mode off because I prefer to use the quick buttons that were here on the side. Video light definitely off for surveillance. Digital color, cinema color off because I find it can tend to make the image a little bit darker. Shooting guide, I don't know why that's on, so we'll just turn that off. Wind noise counts, I just leave that on. Zoom mic gets more sensitive as you zoom out, off. Mic level auto, well, it's not going to worry. I used to have to turn that all the way down, but since I'm going to put a microphone plug in there, I don't worry about it. Picture assist, don't worry about it. You can make a picture a bit more crisp, the colors and stuff. Manual focus assist, make sure that is on. That puts the blue border around everything that's in focus. So, wonderful feature. Back to the scene mode, so that's back to the first one there. Okay, so we've gone through that part of the menu. Let's picture mode. This is what it is. Leave it. Media select. Here's where you can choose from the SD card, which I have it set, but I don't have an SD card in there, so I'm just using the built-in memory of 16. And your pictures, you decide where you want your pictures. So, setup. Okay, display. I have the display on, but you can have it set for 5 seconds and then off. And I think that the record thing still stays on, but since I've always had to stare at these things, I've always just left it on. Where are we going? Okay, clock, I've already set that. World clock already set. Zoom, record, display on. Date format is fine. External display, whatever. Quick start off. Quick start is something, if you want your camera to turn on quick, it actually puts it more into a hibernation mode than an off mode, but it does use up battery as it's sitting there, so I chose not to have it on. So there's some other options here that I have yet to figure out. I don't know what they are. Economy, battery on, whatever. Alert, turn that off. You don't need it. You don't want it. Power LCD, yep, that's what we have. All this stuff, don't worry about it. And TV aspect ratio 16:9 because everything now is 16:9. Number reset, nah, we don't need for your file names. Demo mode off. You don't want going in demo mode while you're trying to use your camera. Stabilizer, that you can take a look at that. Format media, I never format, I always put a fresh card in. Language, English, and that is that. So let's get right down to business with the camera settings. Alright, your toggle zoom wide, I find this a little too further back than I like. This, you can take pictures and you can take photos while you're recording video. Cool, a lot of cameras do that. Here's your switch to go from playback to camera shooting to straight photo. Straight photo gives you slightly higher resolution than taking photos in video mode. And after you take a photo of a license tag or whatever, you can keep hitting the screen wherever the license tag is on the screen, and it will enlarge it, enlarge it, enlarge it for you. Very cool feature. So your battery sits in the back. It's a bit more recessed than my other camera, which I like, so the battery's not sticking way back. Even though this camera's slightly bit thicker than the TM60 and some of the other ones, just having this recess alone makes it better. So this turns on and off right there. Your microphone we discussed before, 1080p. Eject your shoe adapter, cold shoe, sorry, and your battery ejection is here. Your ports are there to go to your TV. And here's where you put your SD card in. Here's the front of the camera. You have a light here, video light, which is better than previous models. It's 28 wide. Your lens is nicely recessed, which helps prevent lens flares when you're filming into the sun. So that I found was very cool. What else here? Okay, previous models didn't have this. This is threaded. I don't know if you can see these can't see them. Around the outside it's threaded, so you can screw on teleconverters, wide angle, whatever you want. Previous models didn't have that. Obviously you can do step up or step down converters, whatever. Obviously when you put a filter or anything over here, you can't use your light. It'll bounce off the back of the filter. That's kind of a weird thing to have the light in there, but that's the way it is. And here's where you charge. So there is the Panasonic HCV700M. Records in AVC HD, which is what you want these days.